what I feel, and a lot of Muslims feel, that this is not a party for us. What is your take on that?
Okay. Abbas, that's a good challenge. And let me take these points one at a time, and I'd be happy afterwards to take more questions from the floor. A party full of old white people. Well, there are actually some young conservatives around, but it's true. Most conservatives are older. I'm age 67. When I was at university, I was a Trotskyist, and in my 30s I learned better. When I joined the Conservative Party in 1983, it was much whiter than it is now. If you think it's too white now, go back to 1983 and have a look at it then. And attitudes to ethnic minorities were far less positive than they are today, when we have 19 Conservative MPs from black and minority ethnic community backgrounds. I joined the Conservative Party for only one reason, because I believed in its economic policies, and no white racists were going to keep me out. And I knew that when I was sitting in the room with them, they couldn't say things to each other that they would have been saying if I'd not been there. And the best way to get rid of any remaining unpleasant old white racists is for more ethnic minority people to join the party and drive them out. Coming back to terrorism and fears of radicalization, you may feel that the government talks too much about terrorism. The first duty of any government is to keep all of its people, white and brown, Christian, atheist or Muslim, safe. That's why the Labour government of Tony Blair reacted the way it did after the 7 July 2005 London bombings. And remember, it was the Conservative Party in 2010, when we came into government, that reduced the period of detention without charge that Tony Blair had introduced. But let's be frank, I'm as concerned about radicalization as any other person you will meet. The first victim of radicalization is the person who is radicalized. They may go on to get themselves killed, for example, if they go to Syria. And even if they don't do that, they can waste their lives being consumed by hatred of British society instead of getting on with their careers. And that's before you consider any harm to other people that a radicalized person might do. Quite apart from the 4 bombers, I never forget that there were 4 other innocent Muslims who were killed in the London 7/7 bombings. Terrorism is a direct threat to you and me. It's an even worse indirect threat because it makes our fellow citizens distrust and fear Muslims. Terrorism poisons our society, and that's why every Muslim should be as concerned about terrorism as every non-Muslim. So Abbas was asking, is it a waste of time Muslims joining the Conservative Party? And there's a short answer and a long answer. The short answer is simply no. But let me say a few words about the long answer. People regularly ask me, what is the Conservative Party going to do for Muslims? And when I'm feeling provocative, I give them the answer, nothing. The Conservative Party is going to do nothing for Muslims. And the reason is that I believe the issues that really matter for Muslim voters are the same as the issues that matter for other voters. Education, health, the economy, taxation, and so on. There are no Muslim issues, as I said before, apart from things like freedom to practice halal slaughter, where all the parties are agreed. They're not a reason for voting Labour compared to voting Conservative. But there's something quite subtle I've learned after many years in politics about the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. They see the country in fundamentally different ways. The Labour Party sees Britain as made up of lots of separate groups. Religious groups, ethnic groups, union members. And the Labour Party tries to find policies that appeal to particular groups and hope that those groups add up to a majority. The Conservative Party is different. It sees Britain as being made up of millions of individuals or millions of families. And it wants policies that work for all of them. And it assesses people on individual merit. And the best way of proving that is to look at the 19 Conservative MPs from BME backgrounds and the 32 Labour MPs from BME backgrounds. Almost all, certainly an enormous proportion of the 19 Conservative ethnic minority MPs represent seats that are overwhelmingly white. Overwhelmingly white local Conservative Party associations chose an ethnic minority candidate from a choice of 3 candidates where the other candidates were white. They chose the ethnic minority person to be the candidate because they wanted the best candidate. And white Conservative voters in that constituency voted for that person to become an MP. I could give you a long list of names like Kwasi Kwarteng, Rishi Sunak, Sajid Javid, but I won't go on forever. But that is the 19 Conservative MPs. When you look at the 32 Labour MPs from black and minority ethnic backgrounds, you see something very different. Almost all of them, 29 out of the 32, represent seats with very high numbers of ethnic minority voters. That's where the Labour Party chooses candidates for winnable seats who are ethnic minorities. Very white local Labour parties in very white safe Labour seats, because there are very white safe Labour seats as well, in general do not choose ethnic minority candidates, because the Labour Party's view is if it's an ethnic minority seat, let's go and find an ethnic minority candidate. If it's a white seat, let's go and find a white candidate. That isn't how the Conservative Party thinks. The Conservative Party sees individuals on merit regardless of colour. And that is the key difference, as far as I'm concerned, between the Conservative Party and the Labour Party when it comes to ethnic minorities. And with that, I'm going to finish, but I'm happy to take questions.